Before I went to bed last night, I was trying to make sense of all the trades the Knicks made, and I still didn't know. Then I went to sleep and woke up and was still unsure. But in today's video, we're going to try to break it down the best we can. I think we have the exact details, but if you're still confused like I was this morning about what happened last night during the NBA draft, like this video. Welcome into New York Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. We have a loaded, and I mean a loaded show for all of you watching today's video. The NBA draft is in the books. The Knicks made a lot of moves, and Leon Rose did not speak to the media. But he did release a statement this morning. We'll break down what he said. Then we'll recap the full trade details. All three trades the Knicks made. I have the protections for all the picks. And then a rumor just came out from Mark Stein, and the Jalen Brunson to the New York Knicks rumors are officially on fire. They are heating up. And then at the NBA end of the show, we'll talk about some trade targets, because the Knicks, they didn't just clear cap space last night. They also added multiple first-round picks. But first, let's talk about what Leon Rose had to say, because I thought it was really interesting that once the draft ended, the Knicks media team put out a statement that Leon Rose will not speak to the media, and that's usually what happens. GMs, right after the draft, or president of basketball operations, speak to the media. Leon Rose didn't do that. He hasn't talked to the media face-to-face in a while, but this is what he had to say in his statement following last night's NBA draft. He said, "Last night, we made 3 trades involving draft picks, which resulted in increased financial flexibility and additional draft capital moving forward. We now have a total of 22 picks, 11 in the first round and 11 in the second round over the next 7 years. We have the ability to be active in free agency as well as in the trade market. Our focus will remain to be strategic and thoughtful in our team building, doing it the right way while feeding off of the momentum from the end of last season and prioritizing our player development program. Thank you to Knicks fans for your continued support." Leon Rose had a plan coming into NBA draft night. We know they wanted to go up and make a move for Jaden Ivey. Even after Ivey was selected by the Detroit Pistons, there was still rumors and smoke that the Knicks were in talk with the Pistons. But that didn't happen. And then he went to plan B, which was to trade out of the first round, save the $4.5 million that they saved by not making that pick, add future flexibility with draft capital and draft assets, and then get off of an expensive contract like Kemba Walker. He has an idea, he has a plan, but now it's time for him to make it happen. We'll continue to break all this down, but I want to ask you this question first. Do you trust Leon Rose as the Knicks president of basketball operations, as the general manager, whatever title you want to give him? Do you trust him to make the New York Knicks great again? Let me know. Type Y for yes, or you can go down and type N for no. Last night was absolutely crazy for the New York Knicks. We were on the clock at pick number 11. We made a pick, then we traded a pick, and it got crazy. And I still don't really know exactly what went down, but I have a pretty good idea. So let's break it down quickly. Trade number 1. Knicks were on the clock at number 11. And then Ousmane Dieng was the pick announced by Adam Silver. But quickly, that changed. They traded that pick to the Oklahoma City Thunder. And then the Knicks received 3 future first-round picks, which all come from OKC, but none are actually OKC's pick. They're all heavily protected. We'll break down the protections in a second. But you get a first-round pick next year from Denver, Washington, and then Detroit. And then you made another trade. The Knicks, they traded the first-round pick they got via Denver from Oklahoma City to the Charlotte Hornets, as well as 4 second-round picks in exchange for the number 13 pick, which then the Knicks selected Jalen Duren. And they did that. They made that pick for the Detroit Pistons. That pick was never a Knicks pick. Duren was wanted by Detroit. So the Knicks, they then shipped Duren, as well as Kemba Walker, to Detroit, and Detroit gave the Knicks a 2025 first-round pick, which was owned originally by Milwaukee. It was a part of that Jeremy Grant trade. So they made 3 trades, and we'll just show you in a second what all the trades actually meant. But this is what the protections are on those first-round picks that were traded. The Detroit Piston one is protected number 1 through 18 in the 2023 and 2024 season. In 2025, it's protected 1 through 13. In 26, it's protected 1 through 11. And then in 2027, it's protected 1 through 9. And if it rolls over into 2028, it becomes a second-round pick. In 2023, the Wizards pick is protected 1 through 14. And then in 2024, it's 1 through 12. 2025, 1 through 10. 26, 1 through 8. And then the Denver Nuggets trade is protected, our first-round pick is protected from 2023 to 2025 through 1 through 14, lottery protected. And the Bucks pick in 2025 is lottery protected, which essentially means if it falls in between those numbers, for instance, if the Detroit Pistons pick in 2023 or 2024 lands between 1 and 18, it'll then go to 2025. And they put these, protections on these picks to protect themselves. We don't want, or those teams don't want to have another situation like the Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce trade that happened with the Celtics and the Nets. So they put those protections on the deal. But to wrap all that up, this is what the trade actually is. The Knicks, they receive a 2023 first-round pick from Detroit, a 2023 first-round pick from Washington, a 2025 first-round pick from Milwaukee, and about $14 million in cap space because you traded Kemba Walker. You didn't make the pick at pick number 11, which would have costed you $4.5 million this year, and you also shipped out 4 future second-round picks. So you get 3 first-round picks, $14 million in cap space, but you also traded your number 11 pick, Kemba Walker, and 4 future second-round picks. That was confusing, but this is the best way that I can, break it down and give it to you in a very easy and concise and digestible piece of information. But with all that information we just talked about, how would you grade the Knicks draft night? Was it a success? Are you worried? Do you think Leon Rose has a plan and is going to be able to make it happen? Grade what the Knicks did last night. Type A, B, C, D, or F. Get out your red pen and let me know. Mark Stein reported it just a couple of minutes ago, and we knew it last night. And if you were subscribed to the channel, you knew it. The Knicks are all in on Jalen Brunson. Last night wasn't all to do with Brunson, but it had a good, focus on because they want to clear cap space. They want to get to that $25 million number to go out and sign Jalen Brunson away from the Dallas Mavericks. This is what Mark Stein had to say about everything that's going around Brunson and the Knicks. He said the New York Knicks are gaining major momentum in their bid to sign Brunson away from the Dallas Mavericks in free agency. He said New York's ability during Thursday night's NBA draft to offload Kemba Walker's $9.2 million salary for next season, coupled with the growing belief that it can shed further salary to expand its offer when the marketplace officially opens next Thursday, has established the Knicks as a very credible threat. He went on to say, one source close to the process described that threat as very, very, very real. The Knicks are increasingly expected to assemble a 4-year offer to Brunson valued in the $100 million range, sources said. After the former second-round pick, number 33 overall in 2018, played out the final season of his first NBA contract at $1.8 million. Brunson, he's going to get a big-time pay raise. We know that for a fact. But is $25 million actually a lot of money for Jalen Brunson? Someone that averaged 20-plus points in the playoffs, was the second-best player on a team that went to the Western Conference Finals. So let's take a look at what other point guards across the NBA are making. These are the top 10 highest-paid guys in the NBA. Brunson, he won't be a part of this list. He's not making $48 million, and he's not going to make north of $31.3 million. But the next tier, the next 10 guys, is where I see him fitting in. If Kyle Lowry is making $28.3 million, and Terry Rozier is making $21, and Malcolm Brogdon's making $22, and Fred VanVleet's making $21, and Spencer Dinwiddie's making $20, is $25 million all that much for Jalen Brunson? What I heard someone say last night I thought was very important. Someone asked, would the Knicks be overpaying by giving Jalen Brunson $25 million? And he said no, because your market is what your market is. And if the market to sign Jalen Brunson is $25 million, that's how much he's worth. That's how much the Mavs want to pay him. The Mavs value Jalen Brunson. Brunson is a really good player. Don't go out on the internet and go start reading tweets that Brunson's not a baller, because he is. We have the stats in a second. But we know the Knicks want Jalen Brunson really bad. There's ties from Jalen Brunson to Leon Rose. There's ties from Jalen Brunson's dad, Rick Brunson, to Leon Rose. Rick Brunson was hired by the New York Knicks to be an assistant coach. Leon Rose was Jalen Brunson's first agent. Leon Rose was also Rick Brunson's agent at one point. Brunson coached with Tom Thibodeau before he came back and coached for Tom Thibodeau again. We know the Knicks want him. They have a plan, and it's to go out and get Jalen Brunson. And it started last night by creating salary cap space. Bobby Marks said this: the trade to Detroit now has New York with $104 million in guaranteed salary, and the salary cap projects to come in at $122. So that's about $18 million under the cap. Fred Katz, he doubled down on that and said, a big part of trading Kemba Walker, if the Knicks renounce Ryan Arcidiacono's cap hold and waive Taj Gibson, whose 2023 salary is not guaranteed, they can open up $20 million of cap room. Brunson's probably going to sign for more than $20 million. So you're going to either have to trade Alec Burks, Nerlens Noel, maybe Derrick Rose. Another move is coming down the pipeline for the New York Knicks. But let's focus in on Brunson as a player, because we've talked enough about dollars and cents. Let's talk about what he can do on the hardwood. He's one of the most inspiring and awesome stories we've seen. Gone from a second-round pick to now about to make $100 million in free agency. This past year, for the Mavs, he took a step up. Didn't start at the beginning of the season, took over that starting role, and performed like a primetime player. 16 points per game, 5 assists, shot 50% from the floor, 37% from three. And I want to focus in on the percentages. Shooting 50% from the floor and 37 from three is very efficient for a guy that's 6'2" at the guard spot. He's an efficient scorer, an efficient player, and he showed that in the playoffs when his points per game went up by 5 points. He went up to 21.6 points per night, 3.7 assists, averaged about shot 46% from the field and 34% from three. Brunson, I feel like when he gets away from Luka Doncic, if it happens, those numbers will continue to go up because he didn't have a high usage rate. Doncic has one of the highest in the NBA, and once he gets out of the shadow of him and gets to dominate the ball like he will with the Knicks, be the point guard, be the lead guard, be the face of the franchise, I could see Brunson being a 20 points per night guy, averaging 7-8 assists, and that is 100% worth $25 million. Would I like to do gone and make a trade for Jaden Ivey? Yes, but it didn't happen. So we go to plan B, and it's to sign Jalen Brunson. I like it. The Knicks need a point guard. It's time to make a move, and Leon Rose has his crosshairs set up on Brunson right now. I'll ask you this question. Do you want Brunson? Do you actually want him on the Knicks? Type S for sign or type P for pass. Whenever Brunson signs, we will be breaking it down live on Chat Sports, youtube.com/ChatSportsTV, where we have over 300,000 subscribers. We're going to be going live every single day of NBA free agency. So when Brunson signs, the first place you'll hear about it is over there. Watch it with us. I'll be on there talking New York Knicks basketball. Subscribe, youtube.com/ChatSportsTV. I've heard a lot of Knicks fans and Mavs fans and NBA fans say everything the Knicks did last night was all about Brunson. They're mortgaging the future. They're trading for future first-round picks for Jalen Brunson. That doesn't make sense. Last night wasn't all about Brunson because the Knicks potentially now have 7 first-round picks in the next 3 years. I can promise you this. Right now, the Knicks are projected to have 4 first-round picks in the 2023 draft. The Knicks will not select 4 players in the first round next year. They are now using those picks as trade chips. The Knicks, they want to sign Jalen Brunson, and then they want to make a big-time trade. 7 first-round picks over the next 3 years. 11 first-round picks over the next 7 years. They are ready to make a move. They are ready to pounce. So not only was this all the moves the Knicks made last night in the draft about clearing cap space for Brunson. It was adding first-round picks to go out and potentially get one of these guys in the trade market. We know the Knicks are in on Donovan Mitchell. We've heard the Anthony Davis trade rumors. We know all too well about the Zion Williamson trade rumors. But these 2 guys are names that I'm starting to hear a little bit more smoke about. These would be sign and trade scenarios for Miles Bridges, and then you could outright trade for OG Anunoby. The Knicks are going to make a move for a player this offseason. I would project right now it's going to be Jalen Brunson in free agency, and then they will go out and couple all those first-round picks to go out and get another player. But let me know someone you want the Knicks to go out and make a trade for in the comment section right now. It is going to be a crazy offseason. I can't wait for NBA free agency to open up next week. And make sure you're following me during that on Twitter at @MarshallGreen_, because that's the first place you will hear about any Knicks breaking news. I promise you that. Show me some love. Give me a follow at @MarshallGreen_.